The experiment begins. The rain hammered against the grimy windows of the apartment, a relentless drumbeat that matched the rapid pulse in my chest. The night was thick with tension, and something about this evening felt off. I glanced across. The room, eyes flicking to the corner where my roommate, an alien unlike any I'd ever seen, was hunched over a strange device. His skin shimmered faintly, iridescent like oil on water, casting eerie colors in the dim light. His large, almond-shaped eyes reflected something far older than Earth itself, something both wise and desperate. It was Kazor, my roommate, and, until tonight, a mystery I had accepted as part of my odd life. I should have been asleep hours ago, but the strange humming from his makeshift lab downstairs kept me awake. Curiosity gnawed at me until I found myself creeping down the narrow stairs that led to the basement, the very place I never dared explore, his secret workspace. "Hey, Kazor," I whispered, my voice barely audible over the mechanical whirring. He didn't turn immediately. His slender fingers manipulated a translucent container filled with a glowing blue liquid, swirling gently. Inside floated something, a cluster of tiny cells, moving with a purposeful life. "What are you doing?" I asked, stepping closer, heart pounding. He finally looked up, those deep eyes meeting mine with a strange mix of caution and something I couldn't quite place. "Human breeding," he said simply. My breath caught. "Breeding?" I echoed, disbelief and fear clashing inside me. Kazor nodded slowly. "First time trying, it is complicated." I swallowed hard, the word hanging heavy in the air. What did that even mean? Why was he doing this? And why had he never told me before? Why? What is the purpose? My voice trembled. He hesitated, then lowered his gaze. "My species is dying. Our genetic pool has become too shallow. We need new life, new hybrid life. Humans have the potential." The implications hit me like a freight train. This wasn't some harmless experiment. It was a gamble on survival, on the future of his entire race. And I was right in the middle of it. "Are you going to use me?" I whispered, a sudden chill crawling down my spine. Kazor shook his head. "No, not yet. But you might be important." Before I could ask more, the door creaked behind me. A shadow fell across the doorway. Someone else was here. "Stay back," Kazor warned, stepping between me and the intruder. The stranger stepped forward, another alien, unfamiliar, with sharp features and eyes that seemed colder, harder. "Kazor," the newcomer hissed, "you're risking everything. The council will not forgive failure." I realized then this was bigger than just two roommates. There were rules, forces, and dangers I had no idea existed. I backed away slowly, heart racing. The basement, once a place of mundane storage, was now the epicenter of a cosmic drama, and somehow I was trapped in it. Days passed in a blur. He couldn't get the image of those glowing cells out of my mind, nor the weight of Kazor's words. What did hybrid life mean? What role was I supposed to play? I tried to keep normal, but every shadow seemed to whisper secrets. Kazor was distant, focused, but sometimes his eyes flickered with a desperation that unsettled me. One night, as I sat alone on the worn couch, my phone buzzed with a message. "Unknown number. They watch. Trust no one." Panic surged through. Me. Who sent that, and who were they? I confronted Kazor the next morning. His face paled, a rare sign of fear. "It is true," he admitted. "Some factions do not want this to succeed. They believe it will disrupt the balance." "Balance?" I asked, confused. "Our galaxy is fragile. Hybrid life could be a bridge or a weapon." I felt overwhelmed, but also strangely drawn in. This was no longer just about me or Kazor. It was about something vast, something dangerous. One evening I found Kazor staring at the stars through the cracked window. "Do you ever wonder?" I said softly. if humans are ready for this. For whatever you're trying to do. He looked at me, eyes reflecting the distant galaxies. We may not have a choice. Survival isn't about readiness, it's about necessity. The words echoed in my mind. I had to know more. This story, my story, was only beginning. Suddenly the basement door slammed shut behind me, plunging me into darkness. A voice whispered from the shadows, "Welcome to the real experiment." Unveiling secrets. The days after that night in the basement became a blur of whispered conversations and stolen glances. I couldn't get the image of those glowing cells out of my mind, nor the strange visitor who had threatened Kazor. Something bigger was unfolding, something I wasn't prepared for. But there was no turning back now. I spent every spare moment quietly observing Kazor. He kept his focus on the strange device that hummed softly in the corner of the basement, like a heartbeat from another world. He rarely spoke unless I asked, and even then, his answers were carefully measured, as if he weighed every word for its consequences. Finally, one evening I sat down beside him. The air was thick with the scent of old metal and something unfamiliar, like ozone mixed with earth. I swallowed my fear and asked, "Tell me everything about your people, the experiment. Why humans?" Kazor's eyes, usually so inscrutable, softened for a moment. He sighed, a sound almost like wind through dry leaves, and began. "Our people, the Viren, once thrived in the far reaches of the galaxy. Our home world was vibrant, full of life and energy. But over centuries, our genetic diversity dwindled. Without new bloodlines, our species faces extinction." I nodded slowly. "And you think humans can help?" "Not just help," Kazor said, voice low. "We believe that human DNA contains traits our species lost. Resilience, adaptability, emotional complexity. We hope to combine the best of both to create a new life form. A hybrid that can survive where neither species alone can." The weight of those words settled in my chest. This was not just science, it was desperation, hope, and fear all tangled together. But why keep this secret? Why risk so much? I pressed. Kazor's expression darkened. "Because not all of us agree. The Viren Council fears change. They see hybrids as abominations, threats to purity. If they learn of this experiment, they will try to stop it by any means necessary." I glanced toward the basement door, the site of that first confrontation. "That visitor, was he from the Council?" Kazor nodded grimly. "Yes, he warned me to cease immediately, but I cannot. There is too much at stake." The room fell silent, filled only by the quiet hum of the device. I felt both fascinated and terrified. What would happen if this experiment succeeded, or if it failed? The next days were a whirlwind of strange events. I began finding mysterious messages, cryptic warnings written in strange symbols, and on my phone, texts like, "They are closer than you think." I shared this with Kazor, who seemed more anxious than ever. "We are being watched," he said, eyes scanning shadows. "The Council's spies have infiltrated Earth." One night the power flickered and a shadow darted past my window. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside, heart pounding. The street was empty, but the feeling of being hunted clung to me like a second skin. Back inside, Kazor prepared to show me more about the experiment. He led me down to the basement, flipping on the dim lights to reveal the glowing container again. This time, I could see it clearer. The cells inside pulsed gently, alive with potential. "These are the first hybrid embryos," he explained, "created by combining human and Viren DNA." I stared in awe and fear. This was life, new, strange, and unknown. "Will they survive?" I asked. "That is uncertain," Kazor admitted. "The hybrid must adapt to both worlds. They may be our salvation or our doom." Suddenly, a sharp noise echoed from upstairs. Kazor's body tensed. "They're here," he whispered urgently. We hurried to hide the container inside a secret compartment. Moments later, footsteps thundered down the stairs, heavy, purposeful. The door burst open, revealing a group of shadowy figures clad in dark armor. Their leader stepped forward, stern, ruthless. You've broken the law, Kazor, he said coldly. The council demands an end to this madness. Kazor squared his shoulders. I will not let fear dictate our future. The leader sneered. Then you leave us no choice. Before I could react, the room filled with a blinding light. I shielded my eyes as the figures advanced. The last thing I saw was Kazor stepping protectively in front of me. When I opened my eyes, the basement was empty. Kazor was gone. I was alone. The weight of everything crashed down. Fear, confusion, a desperate need to understand. Suddenly my phone buzzed. A new message appeared. You have a choice. Protect the future, or let it die. The real experiment was just beginning. The hidden truths. The silence in the apartment was suffocating. Kazor was gone. The glowing container with the hybrid embryos vanished. The shadows that had stormed the basement left nothing but questions and dread behind. I sank to the floor, the message on my phone burning in my mind. You have a choice. Protect the future, or let it die. But what choice, and how was I supposed to protect anything when I barely understood what was happening? My thoughts raced as I stared at the empty basement. Something had shifted forever. This was no longer just about my alien roommate or an experiment. It was about survival. Their survival, our survival. I needed answers, and I needed allies. The next morning, I began searching Kazor's belongings, anything that might give me clues. Among his scattered notes and alien tech, I found a small encrypted device. After hours of trial and error, I managed to unlock it. What I saw shocked me. Holographic recordings of other worlds, alien cities, strange creatures, and most importantly, messages from Kazor himself. One recording played automatically. His familiar voice echoed softly. If you find this, it means I am in danger. The Council's resistance is stronger than we feared, but the hybrid project must continue. There is someone you can trust. Ilara. Seek her out. Ilara, I had no idea who she was, but this was the first real lead I'd had in days. If Kazor trusted her, maybe she could help me understand what was happening. I scoured the files for anything about Ilara. Hidden among star maps and genetic codes was a location, a small town on the outskirts of the city. It wasn't far, but I knew this journey would change everything. I packed what little I could, some food, the encrypted device, and a worn jacket, and headed out. The town was sleepy and unremarkable, at least on the surface. But beneath the quiet streets and dim streetlights, I felt eyes watching me. I found Ilara at a small cafe, a woman with sharp eyes and a calm demeanor, almost too composed for someone living in a world filled with secrets. She greeted me without surprise. Kazor. Told me you might come. I nodded, explaining what had happened, Kazor's experiment, the council, the hybrids, the message. Ilara listened quietly, then leaned forward. The council fears change because it threatens their control, she said. They want to keep the galaxy divided, ruled by fear and old laws. Kazor's hybrids represent freedom and survival beyond those chains. Her words gave me hope, but also raised new fears. What can I do? I asked. You must protect the embryos, she said firmly. Kazor hid copies, genetic data, in safe locations. We need to find them before the council does. Her eyes searched mine. Are you ready for this? Because it won't be easy. I swallowed hard. I have to be. Ilara led me through hidden tunnels beneath the town, places where few dared to go. We passed ancient alien tech, symbols etched in walls, whispers of a forgotten war between those who embraced change and those who resisted it. The first safe house was a small underground lab filled with strange machines and flickering screens. Ilara typed rapidly, unlocking encrypted files. Slowly, the genetic data began to transfer onto a small device I held tightly. But just as the process finished, alarms blared. "We've been compromised," Ilara said, eyes sharp as daggers. Footsteps thundered down the hall. We barely had time to grab the data and run. We burst into the cold night air, chased by armored council agents. My heart pounded as we raced through narrow alleys, the sound of pursuit growing louder. Ilara pulled me into an abandoned warehouse. "We can't outrun them forever," she whispered. "We have to fight." Inside, we found an old armory, alien weapons, and devices stored away. Ilara handed me a sleek weapon, its design unlike anything I'd seen. "This isn't just about survival," she said. "It's about changing the future." We made our way back to her safe house, the data secure for now, but the threat closer than ever. Over the next days, Ilara taught me what it meant to be part of this fight, how to read alien tech, understand genetics, and defend against the Council's agents. But the hybrids weighed heavily on me. What would they be like? Would they be accepted or hunted like monsters? One night, as I stared at the stars, Ilara spoke softly. "Hybrids will challenge everything we know about identity and belonging, but they are also a chance for unity." Her words resonated deeply. I realized that this wasn't just Kazor's fight, it was ours. Humanity and Viren together, but peace was fragile. One evening, while we worked to decode more data, the power cut out suddenly. Shadows moved in the darkness. The Council's agents had found us again. The siege, the room was swallowed by darkness the instant the power failed. My heart hammered like a war drum, pounding out a rhythm of panic and dread. The faint hum of the alien tech vanished, replaced by an eerie silence that seemed to press down on us like a suffocating blanket. Ilara's hand found mine in the dark, steadying. "They've come for the data," she whispered, voice sharp and tense. I swallowed hard, gripping the strange weapon she had given me earlier, a sleek, unfamiliar piece of alien technology that felt heavy and cold in my hands. I wasn't trained to fight. I wasn't ready, but I had no choice. Suddenly, shadows shifted along the edges of the room, shapes moving like predators circling their prey. The Council's agents. Without warning, the first shot rang out, a burst of blue light slicing through the darkness. Ilara responded immediately, firing back, her movements precise and practiced. I ducked behind an overturned table, heart racing as I tried to steady my breath. The room erupted into chaos, blasts of energy lighting up the space, echoes of conflict. Bouncing off the cold walls, amid the chaos, I saw her, the leader of the Council agents, the same ruthless figure who had confronted Kazor weeks ago. His eyes burned with cold fury as he advanced methodically. "You cannot hide the truth," he said, voice like ice. "The hybrids are an abomination. You will end this now." Ilara's response was fierce. "The truth is freedom, and it will not be silenced." Time seemed to stretch as the firefight continued. I fired blindly, the alien weapon humming and crackling in my hands, feeling foreign but necessary. I wasn't a soldier, but the stakes made me fight harder than I ever thought possible. Suddenly, a sharp pain exploded in my side. I gasped, staggering as I felt blood warm against my skin. I had been hit. Ilara dashed to my side, eyes wide but resolute. "Stay with me," she urged, pressing a glowing device to my wound. It hissed softly, and I felt the pain begin to fade, replaced by a strange warmth spreading through my body. The council leader advanced again, but Ilara stood her ground, deflecting his blows with skill that was almost inhuman. In the midst of a battle, the encrypted device, the one holding the genetic data, slipped from my pocket and skittered across the floor toward the agents. I lunged for it, grabbing it just before a boot could crush it. Desperation lent me strength. "We have to..." "Get out!" I panted, clutching the device tight. Ilara nodded, eyes scanning the room. "Follow me." We darted through a hidden door she'd opened earlier, plunging into a narrow tunnel lined with ancient markings, signs of a time when the Veren and other species had lived in harmony. The council agents pursued, their footsteps echoing. Ominously, the tunnel twisted and turned, but Ilara led confidently. I struggled to keep up, my side still aching from the wound. Suddenly, we reached a dead end, a massive sealed door blocking our escape. Ilara knelt beside a panel, fingers flying, over symbols etched into its surface. Come on," she muttered. With a hiss, the door slid open, revealing a cavernous chamber filled with bioluminescent plants and softly glowing pools. The air smelled of earth and life. "We're safe here," Ilara said, breathless. I sank to the floor, exhaustion crashing over me. As I caught my breath, I realized how deep this conflict ran. It wasn't just about alien experiments or secret data. It was about two civilizations fighting to survive in a universe that seemed to want to tear them apart. Ilara pulled out a holographic map, the glowing lines tracing out locations across Earth and beyond. "We have to find the other safe houses," she said. "Kazor hid fragments of the hybrid DNA in several places. If the Council destroys them all, the project is dead." My fingers tightened around the device holding the first fragment. "Then we fight," I said. Her eyes met mine, fierce and determined. "Together." That night, as I lay on a bed of soft leaves in the glowing chamber, I thought about Kazor, about the hybrids, and about the strange, terrifying future we were fighting. For the hybrids weren't just science, they were hope, and no matter what the Council said, I knew we had to protect that hope. But as sleep finally claimed me, a new message flickered on my phone. "They are coming for you next." Betrayal in the shadows. The warning burned in my mind. "They are coming for you next." Sleep fled, replaced by a gnawing dread that crept into every corner of my thoughts. Ilara's safe chamber offered temporary sanctuary, but I knew the Council's reach was long and relentless. Their desire to crush the hybrid project meant nothing. Would be off-limits. Not even me. I woke early, heart pounding. Ilara was already up, studying the glowing map of safe houses. Each location held a piece of the genetic data, fragments essential to creating the hybrids who could change everything. "We need allies," she said, voice low but urgent. "The Council's forces grow stronger. We can't face them alone." I nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on my shoulders. We contacted a small network of resistance fighters, humans and aliens alike, who believed in the hybrid's potential. Together, we planned our next move, secure the remaining safe houses before the Council could. Our first destination was a remote research station hidden deep in the mountains. The journey was perilous. Council patrols scoured the skies, and every step could mean discovery. As we neared the station, the tension grew thick. The air was thin and cold, biting at my skin, but my mind was sharper than ever. Ilara led the way, bypassing security systems and unlocking encrypted doors with practiced ease. Inside, we found rows of alien technology humming softly, the genetic. Fragments stored in secure containers glowing faintly. But as I reached for one, a sudden movement caught my eye. A figure stepped from the shadows, someone I never expected. It was Rin, one of Ilara's trusted allies, her face calm but eyes cold. "Rin," I whispered, disbelief mixing with fear. She smiled thinly. "I'm sorry, but the Council offers more than your little rebellion ever could." Before I could react, Rin raised a weapon, aiming it at Ilara. Chaos exploded. Ilara dove to the side, firing back as Rin's shots shattered the glass containers holding the genetic data. I scrambled to protect what I could, but the room was in ruin. "Why?" I demanded, heartbreaking. Rin's expression was hard. "Because some secrets are too dangerous. The Council will decide humanity's fate, not a few misguided rebels." Ilara's voice was steady despite the betrayal. "You're blinded by fear. The hybrids are the future, a chance to unite, to survive. Rin shook her head. And the Council will stop you, no matter the cost. The fight raged through the station, shattered tech and broken trust lying in our wake. In the end, Rin fled, leaving us battered and broken. But the damage was done, the genetic fragments destroyed. As we retreated, the weight of betrayal crushed me. How could someone so close turn against us? What else was the Council hiding? Ilara placed a hand on my shoulder. We still have the data on the device you saved. It's not over. Hope flickered weakly, but the fight had grown darker, more dangerous. Back at the safe chamber, we regrouped. Ilara began decoding the remaining data, searching for a way to salvage the hybrid project. Hours passed, tension thickening the air. Suddenly, a breakthrough. The data held the key, not just to creating hybrids, but to unlocking dormant abilities within humans and Viren alike. This changes everything, Ilara said, eyes shining with renewed purpose. But our moment of hope was shattered by a new message on my phone. You are not safe. Trust no one. The Council was closing in. I looked at Ilara, determination hardening within me. We fight, no matter what. Her nod was fierce, because the future wasn't just about survival, it was about what kind of world we wanted to create. The final stand. The weight of the Council's threat pressed on us like an unbearable storm. Every moment was a battle against time, betrayal, and fear. But in that darkness, Ilara and I found a stubborn spark of hope. We knew the Council wouldn't stop until every trace of the hybrid project was erased, so we prepared for the final stand. Ilara's decoded data revealed something astonishing, a way to activate latent genetic abilities in humans and Viren alike, a key to unlocking potential beyond ordinary limits. The hybrids weren't just an experiment, they were the beginning of a new evolution, but to activate it, we needed to reach the central lab buried beneath the old city, the heart of the Council's control. The journey was treacherous. Council. Drones patrolled the skies, sensors scanned every inch of the city, and traitors lurked in the shadows. We moved cautiously, relying on trusted allies and stealth. As we neared the lab's entrance, Ilara's hand found mine. "This is it," she whispered. "No turning back." I nodded, adrenaline surging through my veins. Inside, the lab was a cold cathedral of technology, screens flickering with data, containment chambers humming softly, and the air thick with sterile tension. Council agents awaited us, their leader, the man who tried to destroy everything, stepping forward, eyes blazing. "You're fools to think you can change the course of history," he sneered. "The Council protects humanity's future." Ilara stepped forward, voice steady and unwavering. "The future isn't dictated by fear, it's forged by hope and unity." The battle was brutal. Energy blasts tore through the lab, echoes of defiance and desperation. I fought alongside Ilara, every strike fueled by the belief in something greater than survival, a future where humans and aliens could coexist, evolve, and thrive. At a critical moment, I accessed the console controlling the hybrid activation sequence. Fingers trembling, I input the codes Ilara had uncovered. A surge of energy pulsed through the lab. The containment chambers glowed, releasing waves of bioluminescent light that washed over us all. The Council agents faltered, their rigid control shaken. Around me, allies began to exhibit changes, strength, speed, senses heightened beyond human. And limits. The hybrids weren't just a myth, they were real and they were awakening. The Council leader's face twisted in fury as his forces crumbled. "You will regret this," he roared, but the tides had turned. In the aftermath, the lab lay in ruins, but a new dawn broke over the city. The hybrid project was no longer secret or suppressed. It was a beacon of hope. Ilara and I stood side by side, watching the horizon. "This is just the beginning," she said softly. I smiled, the weight of fear lifting. We've changed the future. As the sun rose, I realized the deepest truth of all. The future wasn't about alien or human, council or rebels. It was about embracing what made us strong, our ability to change, to grow, and to hope, and that was the greatest power of all. End of story.